Welcome to the PBO draft breakdown. You're probably watching this because you want to join the PBO. Well, join the wait list because right now we're going over the draft and we're starting off with co-commissioner, second in command, New York Nickits.
The one and only.
So what's the team? What's the breakdown?
All right, going through the breakdown, obviously we're running Gen 9 Paldea decks post-draft, which is, post-home, which is the Pokemon from Gen 9, but also we added in Hisuian forms and the Pokemon from Hisui. So since we were doing this, I decided to go for Sneasler. First of all, because I thought it was super broken, super fast at like 120 speed, but also still has like super high attack stat at like 130. Typing is very offensive, poison fighting, has good abilities in Unburden and Poison Touch. Also has a signature move, Dire Hit or Dire Claw. 50% chance to like paralyze, poison, or sleep, which is just super strong. Very good Pokemon as the tier 1. Also for the Terra types, chose fighting because I want to make my fighting type move stronger, as well as flying because this thing also gets acrobatics. So you could run like a very simple like Focus Sash set. Also gets Swords Dance, so you could like set up and then Terra Flying. Your acrobatics is doing crazy amounts of damage. Braviary Hisui, just kind of a cool form, gets some good stuff. Two good abilities in like Sheer Force and Tinted Lens. Rotom Mo, always a good solid grass type, as well as an electric type, pretty fast too. Klefki, good for setting up screens, good fairy steel typing. Also has Prankster, can set up spikes as well. Lycanroc, pretty good with Stealth Rock, also just pretty fast, does a lot of damage for people that have no resistances to rock. Pyroar, kind of a really bad fire type for my team, not gonna lie. But you know, we had to do what we had to do. This team is overall not that great, but definitely has some major weaknesses, but still had to make do with what I got. Next we got Samurai Hisui, which is actually a really cool Pokemon that I really wanted, because he has a signature move, which is Ceaseless Edge, that puts on a layer of spikes every time you land hits, which is super powerful. Also has Dark typing now and a new ability in Sharpness, making the cutting moves deal more damage, so it's pretty strong. I have Tatsugiri as one of my rapid spinners. Then I have Scyther, good Eviolite user, also gets Sword Dance and is pretty fast. Sandaconda I thought was kind of a cool pick. I needed a ground type. Also has the Spit Up ability. Pretty cool to set up Sandstream for my Lycanroc, who might also have Sandrush. And Crabalminal was kind of a last minute. I had no idea what I was doing, so he's probably not going to stay on the team long, but we'll see.
Update you on the transactions report on that one. And currently, number one in the power rankings, New York Nickits. And from there, we head on to the El Paso Charizards, who just got finished drafting roughly 24 hours after the draft started. And his first OU pick was Corviknight into his Espeon, which he made Psychic Fairy Terra, probably to make up for the no fairy type on his team. I mean, there's Gardevoir, who's another Psychic Fairy, so
true.
What is he cooking there?
I think
what is he cooking?
So Fairy is also not bad defensively. I think it resists Dark. So technically, in doing Fairy, you are getting rid of one of Espeon's weaknesses, but it also gets Dazzling Gleam. So actually, you could do, but it's not Stab. I mean, you could run Terra Blast or Dazzling Gleam. It's pretty much the same thing. But I mean, Fairy type is not bad. It's more of like defensive option than offensive. It's still Espeon, but Terra Psychic is doing a lot of damage still. Kind of like a mini Alakazam.
Just fun, throw it for a lead, no little magic bounce action. If you don't know what's coming, of course, little magic bounce.
Yeah.
In the Gardevoir, just offense really.
I will say,
type of voice, stuff like that.
I mean, I'm trying to look at it just from off the rip. It looks like he does not have great resistances to rock, except for Cloth, really. Who else resists rock? Everything is actually taking neutral or super effective damage, which is a little bit concerning, but not that bad. Corviknight is just a beast.
Probably why he picked
a steel type. But...
Probably why he picked up Cloth is for your, some resistance in rock.
Yeah. Overall, like I'm trying to see at what synergies could be made. Most easiest synergies are normally like sea, rain, sun, or something like that. But this one I don't see something too particular. But maybe you could get a trick room team going, maybe with like Armor Rouge. Because Armor Rouge and Trick Room is really strong. Also, maybe you set up Psychic Terrain and you just start spamming Psychic type moves. It's gonna do a lot of damage.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the terrain as a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, has a really good defogger in Corviknight. I'm not sure if Honchkrow gets. Let me check that real quick. Does Honchkrow get?
It should.
Defog?
It should.
I have no idea.
It should get defogged.
Let me see. Honchkrow does not get defogged anymore. So it seems like.
Does it get knockoff?
It does not. So it's pretty much only Sucker Punch and Brave Bird, but still not a bad mixed attacker by far. Pretty cool Pokemon.
No.
Also gets U-Turn, Tailwind. Has some other things, but Tailwind could be pretty good for this team as well. Armor Rouge, I mean, I feel like we're sleeping on Armor Rouge a little bit, but also like when you think about
no one picked him up at all until like this was the last pick at OU was Armor Rouge.
Yeah, I mean, there's not like too many good fire types out there. Also has weak armor, so you're instantly getting a +2 speed boost whenever you take a hit. And has armor cannon, which is like a special close combat, which is super strong. Honestly, I don't think it's that bad of a Pokemon. Yeah, especially like say you don't want to run the weak armor set, you can still run like Trick Room, still be doing like tons of damage. But Armor Rouge can actually be pretty scary because I mean you have to have a good resistance to fire and Psychic Stab, which is very difficult to resist. So,
will we see a trade from you for Rotom?
I don't know. I gotta make some difficult analysis of my team, unfortunately, but we'll see.
With all these picks, Stoas could upgrade in the future, trade to Bombstone or Claw for like an Arumon if he sees fit. He does have 40 points left over from the draft.
Also has
so
like
could elect to go
one of the only I think snow summoning Pokemon could run Sea Titan with this team as well. Eventually, yeah, he was a bit strapped for time when drafting, so understandably he might have not been looking at synergies too hot. But from there, Dave, we can go to Boston. Okay.
Now Boston's draft started off strong with Iron Hands and went directly into Grimmsnarl, which kind of defined the team from here on out. Because we look at this team is defensive. This team is defensive with Muck, Clodsire, Chansey, Colossal, Grimmsnarl. This team looks like it could stall potentially.
I mean, Grimmsnarl is also not bad for setting up screens. It definitely does have some defensive capabilities. The thing about Iron Hands is that it has like a very high HP and defense stat. But like slow speed, but realistically for this Pokemon you don't need speed. So like you could easily set up screens and then like just start chipping away at things, and Iron Hand is going to be doing lots and
lots of damage. This team is very slow.
It is very slow, I will say that.
We could see some Trick Room maybe from Grimmsnarl actually. Might be what he'd be wanting to do.
Yeah, true. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, does Grimmsnarl get Trick Room?
I don't see why it wouldn't.
It does not get Trick Room.
What does on this team? Because someone has to have it.
I don't think so, but I think it definitely is bulky. Clodsire is also a pretty good overall defensive pick. Also gets Recover.
Yeah, went for the Ground Steel Terra.
Yeah, it's pretty unique because Clodsire is typically you do Terra types of like offensively, or maybe something slightly defensive, but this is just almost like a pure defensive way of doing Clodsire. So when you're actually doing ground is not bad because you get rid of your, let's see, your psychic and your ground weakness, and you can also run water absorb on this. So technically your new weakness is only grass, which is, or no wait, grass and ice.
Which is
pretty cool.
Still relatively uncommon for offensive typings to do a ton of damage to Clodsire.
Yeah.
And then went into the Hustle Delibird. What's wrong with the Hustle Delibird?
Yeah, Hustle Delibird. I go ahead.
Quite the pick. I'm just saying, it just feels like a meme pick.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it'll ever
Delibird.
really get play, unfortunately.
But then but the thing is, Dragonair was on the board and he went Delibird, and they got Dragonair after the fact. Eviolitemonsters.
Dragonair can actually be pretty annoying though. I think it gets like Thunder Wave, and also gets like moves like Wrap, where you can literally like stall your opponent in. Maybe try taking some hits that way. Overall, it's not gonna. Yeah, it's definitely a more defensive mon. I think looking at this team as a whole, it's very defensive. But you also do have some wall breakers. I mean, Iron Hands is like bulky but very high attack stat. Grimsnarl, bulky, still has a high attack stat. Brute Bonnet, also I think has a huge attack stat, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 127.
Familiar with Brute Bonnet. Oh my god, physical? Special.
It is physical.
Oh my god.
And you also have some cool things with Colossal as well. I mean, you have Steam Engine. Maybe you can run some like weakness policy, Steam Engine things, and then like sweep your opponent. That was pretty common because I mean you get +6 speed. Like if your opponent makes a mistake like that, or you switch in on a fire type move, you're pretty much sweeping them. Very, very cool mon. I really like it a lot.
And leave a comment as to guess who he traded with for Colossal, because Colossal was not his original draft pick.
True.
As we head on to, I'm not mistaken, the Ottawa Dawn fans, who out of all the OU mons to go, he went Garganackle, which is very much defensive pick. We saw Sneasler go, Corviknight go, which, you know, more defensive, I guess. Iron Hands go. You'll see later of these other guys, but Garganackle off the board.
True.
I went
kinda
directly into Pelipper for Rain. Crazy.
Yeah, I think it's actually not bad because they do end up picking up Floatzel, which does really well in the rain. I think that gets Swift Swim and Wave Crash, and it's actually pretty deadly. You gotta make sure that you have the water resist for that. Yeah, Raichu for the Thunder.
For the
Even Electro Hisui in the Thunder is doing a lot of damage because I'm pretty sure.
And who's out and who's outspeeding that?
Yeah, right. And Grass Electric is actually pretty good typing because you can't safely switch in onto the Electric type moves anymore because they can just immediately go for like Chloroblast, which is one of its signature moves, which is I think 150 base power Grass type move. So a lot of damage from that.
Just for the draft order, it was a snake draft. Minnesota went first, snaked into I Like Bike, who went. So that was the draft order we were paying attention to right there. And we go back into the roster sheet. David, he has normal immunity, Frost Lass, Toxic immunity, Rapid Spinner, and Dawn Fan.
Very solid.
The Beartic pick is the only pick I'm like.
Well, it actually works well because I think Beartic gets Swift Swim, so it works. It actually works in the rain.
Really?
Yeah, so it does get Swift Swim.
Oh, I had no idea.
And it's actually not that bad of an attacker, especially if you set up a Sword Stance. Especially if you're in the rain, it's actually pretty viable. Normally it's not, but that's why I think it's actually a pretty good pick.
Yeah, Lake King Sweeper right there. That can be fun. And Bronzong has a ton of utility with its abilities: Levitate, Heat Proof, and then another was Soundproof, I think is the other one, right? Or something. What is it?
I think so. I'm not entirely sure.
But basically, Heat Proof and Levitate, you have two really cool options there to choose from. And so also... And the core looks strong. It looks very strong.
I will say the one thing that this team is missing is a fire type, but I also understand like it's hard to put a fire type on a rain team. I mean, you're starting to get some major components of a rain team here. You're also lacking a fairy type in this, meaning you're going to be taking dragon hits pretty harsh, but it does have Bronzong. The only thing is that Bronzong does not get a great form of recovery, meaning it's like always restricted to leftovers. But overall, not bad. Not bad.
Who gets defog? Pelipper?
I'll have to check that. But I mean, Donphan gets rapid spin, so
yeah,
Pelipper does not get defog.
Well,
Gyarados being the terror typing of flying, I feel like it's definitely pretty good. I think another option, just like if you got this solid rain going on, you could like easily do water. But I think flying is still not bad. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think, does Gyarados have a decent... Ooh, it's got pretty low special attack at 60, though. Could be a pretty fire set, though. Going to mix things up. But flying goes well with it. I think one of the main issues with Gyarados and being a physical attacker is it does not get... Oh, so they even got rid of bounce now. So it really does not get a good flying type move. So actually, I feel like flying is pretty good, because you can now efficiently use Gyarados' other stab and Terra Blast. So you're actually getting a really, really powerful flying type attack off. So it makes sense why they would want to go for that instead of water.
And then grass?
Grass, I think, is definitely a more defensive thing. Because, I mean, what are you not hitting with water and flying?
Well, he becomes grass, and if it's a rain team and you try and bring a fire type, the rain's up, so you're not really doing damage to it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, he can hit with a flying type move.
Mm-hmm.
Poison, you're not really bringing poison against this team because you're worried about the Bronzong.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're just like, why would you? And poison isn't a very common offensive.
I think it could also be like for the water ground types in this generation, you also have a way of hitting them, but normally they might have water absorb.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe takes flying type moves pretty well, but
yeah, to try and just resist you as a water flying type, you bring in your own.
Yeah.
And you surprise them with grass Terra in game.
Yeah, but I mean, Gyarados, I actually love Gyarados because it can do so many different things. Dragon Dance, like a crazy move pool, Stone Edge. You can even run like Thunder Wave, like a defensive set with Intimidate. There's a lot that you can do with this Pokemon for sure, so I definitely like that pick.
And on to Wailing Wailords. And they went with the trio starter core, and if you'll notice, they've already played their game, and they did take the L against the opponent you'll see in the future. And their core was Cinderace, Meowscarada, and Quaquavel. I'm not too sure.
I think it's Quaquavel. I'm not sure either, to be honest.
Quaquavel, yeah. And instead of assuming Electro, they went regular Electro. There's a lot of starters on this team that they do have a grounded poison type. They have a dragon type, no fairy type.
They actually don't have a steel type, which is actually pretty important. Because especially if you don't have a fairy type, if someone has a very strong dragon type Pokemon, you have no resistances, so you're kind of forced to check it offensively. I think Wo-Chien has good buff, pretty good like stats defensively, but overall it's not great since you're still not resisting. But yeah, it's definitely gonna look out for this team. You're most worried for like dragon types for sure.
Yeah, and as we saw from the game, only one kill coming from the Goodra. That was an ice beam hitting the enemy's Ments, which you'll see later. But David, why Quaquavel poison?
So I could see for these Terra types, fighting is not bad because you're increasing your fighting type moves. Poison, I think, could be maybe because you don't want to take grass damage. Also, I think poison is kind of a obscure typing, but if you're poison, you can also hit grass types. I think offensively,
Fairy.
yeah, you also hit Fairy, which would resist fighting as well. I didn't really think about that, but overall, I think it's a little bit strange, but it's not bad. I honestly think that like most of the time you could still run this and be fine. And plus, you get rid of your typing. So, like for example, when they were up against the Salamence, they could have been poison and not taking the super effective damage, but so.
And then for the 2P for the PU picks, we went Sudowoodo and Slacking. And Slacking could be scary, but Truon will always hold it back as we move on to the Toronto Star Raptors, who now we see David Torkoal, Charizard, and Salazzle. We see a little bit of a Sun team. Actually.
Well, you actually can't forget Walking Wake, who actually has photosynthesis, which means that it's getting a slight...
That's right.
It gets a boost in the sun, as well as it has a signature water move that does not get decreased in the sun. So it actually has a pretty good sun team going. I mean, not like overly crazy, but still like very viable.
And does Jumpluff have chlorophyll?
It does actually. Don't know why you'd want it because it's literally already super fast, but
hey, speed tiers, man. Scarfers, they're out there.
That's true. That's true.
Scarfer, they're out there, and plus if you bring it on a water type, you bring in maybe you're an ice type move on it. You never know.
You could actually run synthesis as well and get even more health too. So
yeah. But we're looking at Blissey for a wall, Umbreon for a wall, Palisand for a wall, and then the Darkspawn probably running well-baked body, so it brings a fire immunity to the team. And then Palisand with water compaction if for some reason you bring a water type against the Sun team. But I like the Umbreon Blissey core, but both of them being weak to fighting is unfortunate. But you have Palisand for that. You got Darkspawn for that, so you know, you give and you take.
Very true. I don't think this team is bad at all.
No, I think this team will be slept on. But for power rankings wise, it's just up to the player. I do know he is newer to like draft leagues, so we'll see how we adjust to season 2 of the PBO.
Yeah.
Which leads us into Terra typing, Steel Fighting. Oh, he just went Steel Fighting.
Wait, no, I think that's actually normal.
Oh wait, sorry, normal fighting.
Yeah, it looks a little. It looks very similar to Steel, but yeah. So the reason why. Sorry, you want to go ahead?
No, I was talking about the colors are similar.
So the reason why you actually run normal for Lucario is because it gets extreme speed. So the reason why you'd want to do it is so you can run Swords Dance extreme speed, and then you're essentially getting stab on that extreme speed, and you're very likely to just like win games. Very similar to like Dragonite, how it's being run now, like in OU. It's very strong. But so normal is definitely very good. And then fighting, of course, you have to choose one of your 2 typings. Fighting is definitely good. Can definitely help you wall break through some stuff. So. And
Salazzle with the move or ability it is to hit steel types.
True.
I mean, not that you need it. You're running a fight. You're running a drought team, but wouldn't be surprised if Salazzle is the last resort against some poison type. We'll see, even though it already is fire type, but who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
I think Salazzle is actually completely disgusting in this generation because it still has toxic substitute, like protect, like you can just stall people, as well as I think it gets toxic spikes now. Can be very good for setting up those. Yeah, it actually does.
Oh shit. Oh my god.
So very good Pokemon actually, and extremely fast. And Poison Fire is very strong typing as well.
We'll probably see Walking Wake and probably Lucario come away with the most kills on this team.
For sure.
If I had to guess, which brings us into the Brooklyn Bonets, and they went heavy on the Ironmons. They took on the Wailing Whalers earlier today as we're recording, and they took a huge dub as Mence went 5-1, and then Valiant, Weavile, and Iron Leaves all had no deaths, and 3 Ironmons, David.
Yep.
That is
It's
as we
disgusting.
saw Pincurchin Electric Terrain, dude.
Mm-hmm.
This team this is a playoff team.
Oh, I actually
team.
kind of 100% agree with you. I did not realize, like, when drafting, looking at this team, how much it like just naturally pairs well together. I mean, all the Paradox forms all doing well, and the Electric Terrain, as well as you can't sleep on the fact that Toxtricity has very high special attack stat and can like increases its electric type moves, is going to be doing a lot of damage.
And then I think this Closter still got Mega Launcher, right?
Yep.
Still does.
Salamence, Dragon Dance, very good. Weavile, extremely fast. Lost Knockoff, but Lost Knockoff and Triple Axle, still extremely fast. Definitely still a good Pokemon.
It still picked up 2 kills. You'll see it when it uploads, but I shard 1-hit KO the Braviary from 66%. So
yeah,
scary mon
for sure. Also,
and then the Skunk Tank, I don't really know what the Skunk Tank. I guess a Sucker Punch, just stuff like that. Aftermath, grounded poison type. Grounded
for sure.
Oh, we ever talked Toxicity for that, so I don't really know what the Skunk Tank is, but he's cooking something.
Oh yeah,
he has it for a reason.
I think
Leaves running this Psychic type.
Oh yeah. I actually kind of like that. Just because Psychic types, you're doing it naturally. Grass is kind of a weaker offensive option, so making your Psychic type moves do a lot more is just it's pretty obvious to want to boost that up, as well as Fighting type. I think is pretty cool. Makes your close combats do a lot more damage, which is naturally like a move that Iron Leaves wants to run to hit Steel types that resist both Grass and Psychic. So.
And then he has the Dunsparce or something. He has
Stealth
something.
Rocks.
It's
Stealth Rocks.
Rocks. Yep. Treads has Rapid Spin. Treads has pivot, pivot potential, spin potential. This Treads is crazy. Don't know if we'll see it season 3, but oh my god, that mon is insane.
Yep.
And from there, we'll head into probably another playoff team, the Frederick Klefkes, one of the most balanced teams.
Seriously,
from their draft.
Yeah, I 100% like just looking at this thing. I don't think that there's like any blaring like type weakness or lack of like Fire, Water, Grass core, Dragon, Steel, Fairy core. Overall, very well done in terms of drafting.
And if you guessed it, this was the team that drafted Colossal, while Boston drafted Cloyster, and they made the first ever league trade. And Frederick got Cloyster, which, yeah, as you just said, Fire, Water, Grass core.
Yeah, a lot of water types going pretty fast, so definitely not bad to pick up one of those.
And they did pick up the Dragonite normal flying Terra for that E speed I saw with Lucario earlier.
Yep.
Terrifying.
Very terrifying.
Very scary. I just don't know why the Grumpig.
I think that could just be like a last minute thing. I don't know if it gets screens.
Does he get screens?
He might.
And another popular pick was Electros on a lot of people's draft boards, but fell pretty late.
Yeah, I don't mind Electros. I think it's a little bit like it's got pretty high offensive stats, but pretty low speed.
Move pool.
Yeah, it does have really crazy
move pool.
For sure. U-turn and Volt Switch, very powerful.
And Flamethrower.
Yep. Coil as well is kind of a cool option.
And then he had to grab the Passimian for the knockoff user.
Mm-hmm. Knockoff,
has a lip.
Defogger and Scizor, and Decidueye.
Oh yeah.
What are you gonna say?
Decidueye. Oh, you just meant like, and then we can't forget Iron Moth. This motherfucker.
Facts.
Iron Moth and Dragonite should be the kill leaders on this team.
I definitely
we
agree
will
with
see
you.
how that pans out. And from there, we move on to the Marble Falls Miniors, who drafted their first pick Garchomp on a ton of people's boards. I got 14 draft boards, and Garchomp was on probably about 75% of them.
Yeah.
And then from there, went straight into Basket Legion Male.
Yep. Very strong.
Strong too into Sylveon. And then kind of after, we see Kragonos, Suing Quillfish, and Frogadier, but still, like, this team, I don't know what's going on with the Masquerade and then NDDF, but it's got speed, and this team is offensive.
Very, very offensive. And you also have to
didn't
think...
Didn't even take OU in this first Frazee pick. Took UU and then had Braylon fall to him.
Yep. Pretty crazy. I will say, and DDF also still gets Psychic Surge, which is pretty powerful. Also, you can't sleep on Quillfish Hisui because it now does get Eviolite to boost its stats. So it's still pretty viable as a wall, but...
Oh, yeah. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even know that.
But obviously, I feel like the biggest threat when you're looking at this team is definitely Basket Legion, because it is getting essentially adaptability into Last Respects, which as we go on this season, we will suspect test of if Last Respects is too powerful. But yeah, just adaptability and Last Respects. Water Ghost, very, very strong offensively, hard to switch into to resist both of those stabs. And those Terra typings, very good
this team is. I also don't know how fast team is, but yeah, Ghost fighting.
Yeah, very good.
Scary. Honestly, just scary.
Yep.
And Garchomp has a ton of potential with Sandvale, Rough Skin. You can set up D-Dance. You can make defensive, make it offensive, D-Dance, Outreach. It's really... There was a reason it's an OU, and there's a reason it was on some people's draft boards. And from there, we head into...
Wait, hold on. I'd like to continue talking just because I think Masquerain is actually a sleeper pick, because it is like one of the 2 Pokemon that gets Sticky Web in this generation. So
really?
I think you could actually bring it for the sole purpose of Sticky Web, and it's actually pretty viable. Don't sleep on Masquerain.
Don't sleep on the rain.
Oh yeah. Anyway, we can continue forward. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, LA Agron's got 2 fan favorite picks. Personally, big fan of the Lug. Gotta shout out the Lug. Not just any Lug, but his Hisuian Lug. And then hit us with the Amoonguss into the Hippopowdon, which another what's it called? What's that called? Sand, rain, drought. What are those called?
Weather.
Weather. Another weather setter. And also got Ursaring, which I know you wanted Ursaring, right?
No, there were a couple other people that really did want it though.
And they hit us with the Hariyama and the Banette and Gastro, and then like there's just a lot to talk about. Slowbro. This team is defensive, it looks like.
Very, very defensive.
This team is bulky.
Yeah. Definitely looking like a pretty stallish type of team. Probably some recover toxic, or at least trying to do chip damage over time to just like whittle your like offense down. So many things on this team getting recover, slack off. Very, very good.
Regenerator, double regenerator core, Amoonguss, Slowbro.
Oh, facts. Very, very strong.
Guts, Ursaring. I don't know what the Cacturn is doing. Ursaring gets Eviolite as well. We know that. I don't know what the Cacturn's doing. Don't know where he is right now. But,
He does get Sandvale for the Sandstorm, so He might show up just for that.
My God, you're right. And
Who
then
knows?
the Glaceon is just there for variety?
Maybe. They do already have an ice type, but Glaceon's okay. It is pretty weak, but has very high special attack stat. But is kind of slow, so.
And you see what I'm seeing? I see a glaring fire weakness on this team. It's not even funny. Amoonguss, the Lug, Cacturn, Magnezone, and his terraforming Glaceon.
Yeah. I will say
And the only resist being slow brewing Gastro?
yeah, I think I can't remember if ground resists fire. I don't think it
And then
does.
Hariyama gets thick fat, so
I think it does. It's not bad, but those walls are definitely going to be pressured.
Yeah.
For sure. But for
Hey,
Magnezone,
can you touch on the Magnezone Terra? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the Terra typing is actually pretty good because when you go electric, then your only weakness is ground, as well as you're boosting your electric type moves. Of course, not a lot of Pokemon can take electric type moves after you eliminate someone's ground Pokemon. As well as Terra Grass is actually not that bad because you can hit those water ground Pokemon that you normally couldn't, or ground types that you normally couldn't. So definitely a pretty good option for Terra Blast. Kind of acts as like a hidden power in a way for Magnezone. But overall, I like it, so.
And Banette? Anything about Banette we can talk about? Not really. Does it get Destiny Bond?
It
Does
probably does.
Taunt?
It does get
It's
Destiny
not that
Bond.
fast. This team is not fast also. This team is super slow.
That is very, very true. But I mean, when you have a lot of walls like this, it's kind of just what you end up getting. So. But you will.
There, we head into the Minnesota Slackings, who started off with Skeledirge into Screamtail, and then I'm going to touch on Florges and Greninja, Protean Greninja.
Ooh, yeah.
Quite just two very strong, and Skeledirge and Greninja, and then hits us with the Florges wall and NU. And I couldn't tell you anything after those. I just know I like Screamtail, I like Skeledirge, Flamigo. People talked about Flamigo during the draft. Can you touch on Flamigo? I really don't know much about it.
So Flamigo is fighting flying, which is the Lucha's typing, which is very, very good. But the thing about Flamigo that also makes it good is that it also gets scrappy, meaning that you can hit ghost types. Specifically ghost type, I think Goldigo, which is Ghost Steel. I think it's like very good for hitting things that scrappy like that. I think it also gets Swords Dance. Yeah, it does. Also very, very fast at, like, I mean, you could run a Choice Scarf on it and you have 90 base speed and you're pretty fast as well, have a pretty good attack stat. Yeah, just a combination of, I think, Close Combat, Brave Bird, still has Roost and Tailwind and U-Turn, so those are some options as well. Also has a unique ability in Co-Star, and the fact of, like, if someone sets up and you switch in on them, you copy all those setup stats. So also has a very cool ability in that.
And then I'm really lost on the Flapple and Dracolock picks. I don't really quite understand those.
Yeah, I think Flapple is not great for PU tier. I don't know, like, how good it is, to be honest.
Or what it uses.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's
matter.
offensive. I mean, it gets Sucker Punch, U-Turn, Leech Seed. It probably has, like, some viability as, like, just like an offensive threat. But it's still a little bit slow. I don't know, it's definitely interesting. I think it has some potential, but we'll just have to see what happens. So.
And then he did choose two funny guys in Grafaiai and Farigiraf, which I don't know what those two do, even relatively. So I'm just excited to see what he uses them for and how he utilizes them.
For sure, for sure. I also really like I mean, I also really love Greninja, seeing Greninja come back with Protean. Protean did get a slight nerf in the fact that you can only change your typing based off the first move that you use. but overall Greninja is super fast, definitely a very, very strong wall breaker. Still gets U-turn, so you can U-turn out and go into your Skeledirge or whatever you need to wall attacks, and then bring it on later in whenever you want to pick off and just kill something. So
yeah, great late game sweeper.
Yeah.
Which is probably what we'll see it used for.
Also, Skeledirge, Terra typings of Ghost and Fairy. Very strong with Ghost. Obviously, you're getting rid of your fire weaknesses, and it's pretty good offensively. But also, as a defensive typing, is Fairy. Allows you to hit those dark types that you normally wouldn't be able to with Ghost. Maybe also you can't hit them with your fire move. But Fairy is very good as a defensive option because Poison and Steel are your weaknesses, which Skeledirge naturally resist, and you don't have to Terrasilize turn 1. So you could hold on to Terrasilizing Fairy until you need it for a defensive option. Very, very good. And Skeledirge just having Torch Song, guaranteeing you a +1 special attack boost, definitely makes that Pokemon very, very scary. So
and yeah, this team's speed tiers is pretty balanced. So excited to see how Minnesota does. And then into almost final member, Tennessee Tyranitar, also as Gimmick King, self-proclaimed by me. Drafted late, but solid draft. I mean, he retains Arcanine. I mean, he gets Arcanine, and from his last season, he retains Gallade and Mudsdale, and then just hits us with Lycanroc Midnight in the PU tier, which I'm excited to see how we use that. Basculage female and Barraskewda, but no rain team, so we'll see how Barraskewda hits.
I don't think it'll be too bad. The difference between the male and the female is that the female's out actually a little bit special attacker, slightly better as a special attacker, but still, like, you get last respects on it, still pretty strong, as well as adaptability. You're just running special moves instead of physical moves, but it has still like very good special options and Shadow Ball, Hex, Surf, Hydro Pump, etc. So definitely not a bad Pokemon.
The Terra type on Glodego?
Steel obviously good as a defensive option, and then fighting is actually for offensive stuff because it allows you to go for Focus Blast to hit other steel types or whatever you can't hit with ghost types, probably dark as your resist, so you can actually run Focus Blast and that will do a lot more damage. So pretty cool.
I'm very excited to see where Tennessee goes.
So
probably a playoff team.
So looking at the team though, I don't think that there's a Rapid Spinner or Defogger, right? I don't think so.
Can I think Berserker might get Rapid Spin, but can you check?
Let's see. It does not get Rapid Spin.
Okay, then I don't see one either. There's a Levitate user check, Steel type check, Grounded Poison type. No?
Don't think so. I also think the last team also did not have a way of removing hazards.
Does Kilowattra not get defog?
Maybe it does? Wait, I'm totally lying. Wait, it doesn't get defog. This team doesn't have hazards, hazard removal either.
Can Screamtail not do anything? Screamtail's not utility like that?
I'm checking. I don't think so. No, it's not.
Huh. Well,
so that is another team that unfortunately does not have hazards, and hazards are pretty prevalent for this generation, so definitely something scary to look out for.
And will the third team, I like Bike, continue that trend? I don't think so, as he has this team. Just by looking at it, you go, oh, this is the type of player he is. With Zoroark and Ditto, you can already tell how he's gonna play.
Oh no,
looking like a gimmick type of play, but hits us with the Roaring Moon into Tinkaton, OU, and the UU, and then Volcarona and Sarina in the late free agency. Not to mention Glimmet's there, and he says he has a crazy Rabs cassette, so he's gonna debut that whenever he plays.
That'll definitely be exciting to see because I have no idea what Rabsca does, especially now that it doesn't have Revival Blessing. Yeah, so I'm definitely interested to see what that thing will do. But yeah, I think this team is overall pretty solid. I mean, has good defogs. Oricorio Pom Pom, this is actually the electric flying version, not the fire flying one. That gets defog. I think Serena also gets rapid spin, and I think Glimmet also gets rapid spin, but I could be wrong. As well as Quaxwell, so it has actually a couple options to get rid of hazards on their side of the field, which is pretty good. I don't know. What do you think about this, Soaring?
Currently, I look at grounded poison type and Toxicroak, so I think that's sick. Did you mention Serena gets rapid spin?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to know, because we saw Tennessee do it with Zoroark, but having Ditto and Zoroark is going to be it's going to be super fun. I can't wait to see who gets hit with Tinkaton's hammer. And I actually don't know. I know Roaring's good, but I don't know why. I just know that his stats are good, so in turn he's good.
Yeah, I think just his typing is overall pretty good, and his stats are just incredibly nutty.
And you're getting Quaxwell
Dragon Dance
because
probably Eviolite Rapid Spin, probably.
Yeah, and then Volcarona Fire Water type.
Mm-hmm.
That just sounds crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what you're doing with the water type, but it just sounds crazy. Just getting rid of your
helps it bulk up more so that it can Quiver Dance more, although I'm not entirely sure. Water's not a bad
Quiver Dance
typing.
and a Terra Blast.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I don't know what you would want Terra Blast water for though. Maybe ground types? Maybe rock types?
You never know.
Probably rock
types. I mean, you could even. I mean, fire hits you for neutral, so you can Terra Water hit the fire type. So
that's true as well. I think for this team, actually no, they have a steel type in Tinkaton. I was about to say they're lacking a. I think there were some major weaknesses to Fairy just because Roaring Moon is Dragon Dark, Zoroark is Dark. Wait, was I thinking Fairy? They've actually got some pretty good resistances.
So. I'm excited for Oricorio Pom Pom with the Dancer ability. And it has Quiver Dance. Dancer abilities when
oh yeah, that's true.
You use Dragon Dance, it gets Dragon Dance, and then it gets Quiver Dance and Revelation Dance and so on.
Facts.
So this, I will not be surprised if Oricorio comes out top 4 in kills on this team. People not expecting that set from the Oricorio.
Yeah,
I think it is a one-trick pony. That's why it's RU, and the stats aren't too great. But
still, you could set up some Quiver Dance and definitely sweep this thing. Electric Flying is very good typing.
I think late game we'll see some hits, which leads us to the final team, the Wichita Weaviles.
Oh yeah, very
who
strong
picked
team.
up Enamoris, OU round 1, and then from there, I only knew Vaporeon, I knew Haunter, Quagsire, Magneton. That's all I really got. I mean, Vaporeon's good wall, but it loses Toxic, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's correct.
Has Primeape, has Overquill. I don't know why Toadstool's UU, so excited to see what that thing pulls out.
Toadscroll is very fast, gets rapid spin, spikes, toxic spikes, as well as gets spore. So overall, it has a lot of utility.
And then the Hatchram, just for a little fairy type, little fairy action. Eviolite, run it. Houndoom, get yourself a fire type just to have one. Haunter, normal immunity, and it does not get levitate, or it does.
I don't think it does.
No, what
it
does
actually
Haunter
does get levitate.
Curse body.
I lied. Yeah. Very frail
Flag
though.
for the electric. Oh yeah, I mean it's a Pokemon for a reason.
Yeah.
Quag for electric community. I mean you have a lot of immunities on this team. You have a dragon immunity and an Amorous, and an Amorous is contrary.
Yeah,
So
contrary
I don't know
superpower. That's why it's contrary.
which
It's superpower now.
didn't decide to tear it and still went back Excalibur for Dragon Fairy.
So I don't
Sounds
know
really
too
scary.
much about it, but I think it's just a defensive option. Allows you to probably Dragon Dance up more, being that Excalibur or Fairy types are only weak to Poison and Dragon. I think it allows you to just resist more things, but very scary.
I mean, if you tear a Fairy, then you're immune to Dragon.
Oh, true, very true.
And you're only weak to what? Steel and Poison?
Mm-hmm.
Which you were already weak to Steel anyway, I think.
Yeah.
Dragon resist Steel.
Yeah. But yeah, Excalibur is pretty strong. I mean, it gets Dragon Dance, has a 120 base power physical dragon type move, with the only like drawback being that the next turn you take twice as much damage. But in reality, that means nothing like after you set up a Dragon Dance and you're able to sweep your opponent. So very strong Pokemon.
And that's it from us, I think, right? Nothing else to touch on?
I think so. I think we're good.
I'll show you all the power rankings, preseason power rankings right now. And yeah, that's it from us. Hope y'all continue to watch the PBO and make sure to subscribe to Little Hill and I. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.